Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Psychology and Spirituality, a Bridge to a Better Life discussion. I'm your host, Marcia Trajano, and with me is Bea Lopes. Bea returns today. Hi, Bea.
Hi.
And she will continue to discuss similar themes, right? Which is all about overcoming all of our difficulties, our struggles in life. And Bea, it's so good to have you with us again. I wanted to make sure that if you have not met her before, or if you did not get to hear her talking earlier in our program, just want to say that Bea is a recent Stony Brook University graduate, and she has a Bachelor of Science in Applied Mathematics and Statistics, as well as a minor in Italian language. Bea was grown up in Spiritism. I am a spiritist. I did not grow up in spiritism, but like us, we share that love and belief in spiritism. She is at the time she was attending the Allan Kardec Spiritist Center of Danbury, Connecticut, since the tender age of 3, and when she moved on for going to college, she attended the Long Island Spiritist Center. Bea has been involved in Spiritism by participating in activities such as study groups, giving lectures, delivering speeches, including, and this is something very impressive to me, Bea, a speech at the
Thank you.
United Nations. And most recently, she has been doing a fantastic job working with youth educators in a youth spiritist retreat. Currently, Bea is serving in the board of directors of the United States Spiritist Federation. So thank you, Bea, for all that you do and for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. But if this is the first time you are watching this podcast with us, please note that our program, the Psychology and Spirituality Weekly Talks, are based on the works by Joanna de Angelis. They offer safe space to confront, compare, correlate, and expand spirituality concepts from a psychological lens and bringing perhaps insights, tips, or even some real world advice to help us all lead a better life. Today's program is sponsored by TV Mansão do Caminho, the United States Spiritist Federation, the International Spiritist Council, and AMI Brazil. If you haven't done so, please hit subscribe. I'd like to see you come back, right? And if you want to know more about some of the topics that are being brought to you by the United States Spiritist Federation, please check us out at spiritist.us. Also, please give us your feedback, write your comments, your critique, your questions, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. Sabia, back to you now. Last time you and I were here, we talked about a similar topic, right? How some challenges, how some of us are challenged daily, right? We face uh, things that put us in a state of despair. We have conflicts. We fight with your entire team at work. Just kidding. And we just feel that it is sometimes a struggle just to survive. I'm talking about not thriving in life, but just to survive. It takes a lot from us. And I was hoping that you could today come to our podcast to bring us a message today on perhaps how to overcome our issues and difficulties. And I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking we struggle with so many different things and they come to us all at once, right? We
Yeah.
we are talking earlier about you blink an eye and you think you have 3 emails to respond. And there's like 15 others coming at the same time. So this is barrage of things that distract us on one hand, but also makes us just be on all the time, which makes it difficult for us. It makes us feel anxious, afraid, and not optimistic even about our future. So, what do you think we need to do to feel good again? What do you think? I'm thinking the key word may be faith, right? Finding faith in ourselves, in our future, in life. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we touched a lot about yeah, struggles, challenges, conflicts last time, but it's important to know that all of us have this, right? No matter what social media is showing us, no matter what you think a person's life is, we all have struggles, challenges. We're all working to overcome them, right? That's just human nature. That's human life. We all have these things. So it's very natural to have really tough moments, really tough days where you just feel like, oh my God, everything is going wrong today, or,
Mm-hmm.
nothing's going wrong this week, or this year was so bad. We have New Year's, we get motivated with New Year's resolutions, but then sometimes those don't work out, and it can be like really discouraging. But I think one thing that I know, um, well, right in those discouraging moments, it's okay. We have a meltdown sometimes, and sometimes that's okay, right? We need
Let's
to.
pretend. Let's pretend it's now your moment of I can't handle it anymore. I'm going through meltdown. So go on, Via. Tell us
Exactly,
what
right?
to
You're
do.
like freaking out. And that's okay. It's okay to have that moment. Sometimes we just need to cry. We just need to let it out. But stopping ourselves when we're in there and saying, okay, let me get this out, right? Let me close myself in a room and just like cry into the pillow right now. But then now let me take a deep breath and let me try and recenter myself. So we all have those moments, but how can we move on from them? How can we overcome them?
Mhm.
And one thing that I know for a lot of people is just try and find something that makes you happy in that moment. Sometimes it's going to a place that you really like, the park, the beach, something near you. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
doing something you enjoy, right? Take a break for the day. Say, you know what? I can't do anything else today. I just need to take a minute to do something that I enjoy so that I can calm down, so that I can breathe, so that I can get in a better headspace. Because when we're in that state of overwhelm, of despair, it's hard to see clearly.
Yeah.
So it's important that we take that moment to calm ourselves, to find things that bring us happiness, even if it's not going to make us totally happy. At least it'll kind of set that line. And also people, right? People that we know, that we trust, that we know will feel better. Sometimes we want advice from people. Sometimes we just want them to listen to us crying. But I actually heard someone on a different podcast say, um, at the end of the day, it's the people that are in your front row, right? So if there's a
Mm.
show about your life, and sure, in the good times, maybe the audience is full of people all looking at everything going on. But when things are going bad, who is there in the front row of your
I
show?
love it. I love that.
Who is there supporting you,
Yes.
even in the bad times? And those are the people that you can turn to in those moments of despair, because I can go back to those people, because no matter what, they're there in my front row. They have the front row seats of my life, and they're there to support me and to help me. So when I heard that, I really liked it, and I thought that's so applicable to all of us.
Hmm. So we do have struggles, we have meltdowns, and we just have to accept it, right? And really, the first step is to look at who's around you. What is your social network, if you will? Not there was a movie, right? Social Network about Facebook. We're not talking about that. We're talking about who's part of that network of support that is around you, that's giving you comfort, or that's giving you a sense of balance or direction. And I think all of it, what comes to my mind is what is their role for faith in that, Bea? What can we talk about perhaps? And we maybe before we go there, let's perhaps define, right? What is
Yeah.
faith, anyways? So real. broad faith is just this trust, not only trust, but the complete trust, complete confidence in someone or something. So this is not religious. If we talk about religion, faith is more perhaps defined as the strong belief in God, our source, or in doctrines or religions, right, that will give us a sense of continuity, perhaps, that will give us a sense of comfort because we're part of the whole. I wanted to perhaps before you talk about faith, I wanted to tell you that I came across this book by it's called the faith from a positive psychology perspective, right? Positive psychology
Mhm.
as a field. The author is Miller Perrin, and he brings a very interesting point, which is religious faith from that perspective, from that positive psychology perspective, examines the relationship between our faith and what we're talking here, which is optimum psychological functioning. It really looks at all the differences between you and me and all of us in terms of the diversity of the work that we do, the diversity of where we come from, our culture, etc. And he really links that in terms of giving us a sense of mental well-being, strength, and resilience. And I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about this because at the end of the day, it's all about feeling strong when it is easy to feel vulnerable.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Thank you for bringing those resources and that definition. And yeah, I think a lot of times when people hear the word faith, they think immediately of the religion piece of
Yes,
it. But it's really faith in that sometimes in yourself, right? In yourself that, okay, this is a really tough time, but I've been through tough times and I overcame those. I have faith that I will get through this. I have faith that, I will overcome this person. I have faith in this person to help me or this situation. So it's just having that motivation, that drive, that okay, this is terrible right now. This is really bad, but I have faith that it's going to get better somehow, right? Some way. And one point when we think of on the religious side, that is something that a lot of people do in a moment of despair is prayer.
yeah,
And there's a lot of people who I know, or in general, people who don't um, follow a religion, but when the tough times come, they have this sense. They have this sense of prayer. There's actually a song by Sam Smith that says,
yeah.
"Everyone prays in the end,"
Oh,
because
I love it.
when that tough moment comes, you pray, and you might not know who you're praying to, and that's okay, right? It's that good energy, that positivity, that faith in that this is going to get better, that is going to guide you, right? So it's
Yeah,
it's not that you need to have a specific person or thing that you're praying to, but just that connection, right? Everyone has that moment of like, please help me here. You don't know who you're talking to, but
yes.
having that moment to say, I need help here, please help me, right? And having that, it even gives yourself that calmness, that
Mhm.
serenity, and whatever you need to start working towards overcoming that challenge.
Absolutely. You're talking here every what is it the song? I don't know the song by the way.
Uh,
Everyone prays in the end,
yes, yeah.
right? And I'd like to maybe um, talk a little bit about a year, Bea, that I can easily go back to my entire lifetime and say that was what I call my country western year. The year where it was dramatically difficult and challenging. And to the point of this is just so you can see how terrible stress took hold of me, where I had a heart attack
Wow.
while driving my car,
Oh,
and I actually had a car, sorry, a car, right,
mhm.
and
Wow.
but I had a heart attack. I did not have consciousness. Thank goodness I was slow enough that nothing happened except my car got total. But it's the type of thing that you can see that that's a lot of
That's
stress,
a lot. Yeah.
right, in one person. And after that, right, in the aftermath of all of those, let's say 365 days of difficult, very challenging, very hurtful, all of it, I overcame. Evidently, I'm here today. But most importantly, I recognize two things, Bia. Number one, with all the faith that I have, at that moment, I did not trust in my faith, right? And nothing bad happened. There's this amazing, I would say, um, divine mercy that interfered and helped me go through it all, right? But because I did not really, I'm being very transparent here, I did not believe in that. I made my country western year much worse than it was. If I truly had faith, I would not suffer so much, including not have that heart attack. And I keep thinking, my goodness, intellectually, we know so much, but it's here in your heart
Yeah.
that we have to understand. And then so that's the first learning, right? I would not have suffered as much if I had faith. And the other thing, which is surprise, surprise, Bia, is that knowing of all the results, all the positive impacts of that very difficult year, knowing that today I would go through it all again.
Wow.
And that is really key for all of us in our worst moments. And maybe we can even do this as a
Yeah.
joke here. If we just close our eyes for 10 seconds and think about your worst moment, your country western day, week, month, or year, and now think about all the positive things that came out of that. So, what we consider, what we judge as a difficult, challenging, a struggle that we go through, sometimes it's really after we go through it and we look back, we reevaluate, we resignify, we see, my goodness, this is exactly what I needed to go through. So my life would be catapulted, if you will, into a better path. I almost feel in
Yeah.
my mind's eye, when you're walking in a path, right? And you have
Yeah.
speed, and then you stumble upon whatever, a rock, a branch, or whatever, but that makes you accelerate. And maybe those so called country western days or moments are there as that thing that made you almost fall, but you didn't. You
Yeah.
actually accelerated. That's it.
Yeah.
Those are my
No, yeah, and I love that. And another great point that you bring up, thank you for sharing that story, is that it's not easy, right? Like we're talking about it here. Okay, overcome your challenges. No, it's hard. And they're
yes,
hard to overcome and it takes a while. So it's and it can be discouraging, right? You're saying, "Okay, I'm going to do this new goal or I'm going to
yeah,
try and overcome." But then you keep maybe you stumble again and you stumble it feels like it's not going anywhere. So it can even though, right, it's not going to happen instantly, but it's having that faith of like, I'm working towards that path. This is going to get better. Even if
yeah,
right now it's been a week, it's been a few days and it's not getting better, right? Keep pushing
yeah,
at it, keep trying because
yeah.
it doesn't happen very quickly. And also another point um, to bring up with that is that sometimes that help or that guidance we need comes in unexpected ways.
That's right.
So we never know, right? Maybe sometimes you don't have money, but it doesn't mean suddenly you're just going to run and stumble into a bag of money. But
Yeah,
maybe someone's going to show up and they're going to have a job offer for you, and that
yeah,
can lead to. So be open to different possibilities, even if it's not what you think you need at that moment, right, it could lead to that betterment. So be open to different possibilities, to different ways that you might not even realize can help the situation you're in.
So we talked a little bit about last time we met about some tips or some tools that can help us, because I think a key concept here is when everything is all crazy and nebulous and not clear, how do you bring back a clarity of our mind? And some of the things I heard you speak in a conference not so long ago, Bea, where you were talking with a group of youth, right? And in that discussion, which I thought was beautiful, by the way, and I
Yeah.
appreciate your role in there in moderating that. But all those young, and they're from 15 to maybe not even 18, right? So there's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
range there, and they all had to face their own struggles, including suicide ideation, right? So depression, suicide ideation, and many other issues in the mental health realm. And what was very surprising to me was that each and every one of them had an outlet to seek. That's their
Yeah.
safety net, their safety blanket. And maybe we can talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind, Bia.
Yeah, yeah, that was, thank you for bringing that up, because that was an incredible group of teenagers that I got to work with on that panel, and I learned so much from them. So yeah, it was so amazing. We were talking about struggles, and sometimes we dismiss the struggles and the challenges that young people go through, but those are very real challenges. While it might not be a challenge for you, that could be a very real challenge for someone else. So they gave such wonderful insights on that. But what was wonderful, like you're mentioning, everyone had that creative outlet that they
Hmm.
used to de-stress, and they loved it. One, it was music, playing
Yeah,
the piano, classical music. The other, it was theater and dance, and the other was poetry. And she
yeah.
even um, shared a poem with us, and way more creative than I am. I was so impressed by these youth. Um, but it just shows you that finding something that you love, and that's an outlet that you can let your emotions go, sometimes when you don't even understand your emotions, sometimes you
Yes.
don't even, you can't put to words, you feel sad, you feel something, but you're not even sure what it is. But maybe just writing in a journal, maybe playing music, maybe dancing, theater, whatever it is for you, art, painting, whatever it is for you, a meditation, do that. It helps you figure out, right? Sometimes you just need to figure out what emotions you even have, what the conflict even is, so that you
Hmm.
can overcome it. Because if you don't
Hmm.
even know what's going on, sometimes it's hard to face that challenge.
And I love whenever we talk about emotion, right? I love to take a moment to just speak about it and define the fact that there are many, many emotions, but many of us do not speak the language of emotions, right? It's foreign to the majority of us to be in touch with everything that, and I'm going to use the word emote, but everything that we feel. It's hard to even pinpoint what is it and why is it. But we I think we may have talked about it last time we met, right? The four basic emotions:
Yes.
joy, joy, anger, fear, and sadness, and almost like the three primary colors in the color wheel. From those small number of feelings or emotions and like colors, it can give this enormous wheel of different nuanced emotions. So it's very important for us to keep in touch with the fact that, number one, those emotions have a place, right? They protect us. There is a reason, biologically speaking, to have fear or anger even or sadness, they lead us in those three, the what is it, the three F's, the fight, flight, or freeze. And it's
Mm.
very interesting because the fight would be a response mechanism from getting anger, right? And you have all
Mhm.
the cortisol, I think, that is the hormone that just makes you uh, angry and
Mhm.
you're gonna fight, or the flight from fear, which is the hormones, I believe, is adrenaline that just gets you to just run away and be sensitive. There's a threat that you need to run as fast as possible. And finally, the freeze, which is similar to the moments of sadness when you become very introspective and you kind of like I can feel it just in my eye mind's eye, that shutting down everything, almost like you're dying a little death, because in that moment that you go inside, you actually get in touch with all the things that you need to know. So introversion, extroversion, fight is definitely an extroverted type of thing. You're working with your external versus the sadness where you go deep inside of you. Those are just but a few emotions that we go through, but it is so important, isn't it, Bea? We talk about the youth, but all of us to start to be self-aware, to have the courage to go deep within us, to start to notice what is it that I'm feeling. And
Yeah.
yes, I'm going through struggles, but why? Why is this something here much harder for me to accept, to go through, to live through it than maybe something else?
Yeah, absolutely. And exactly that, evaluating what those emotions are and being honest with ourselves, because sometimes what we say is, "Oh, I'm mad because someone did this." But is it really because they did that, or is there something deeper there that upset you, that right? So we really, like you're saying, be honest with yourself and dig deep and find the root cause, because also if you're trying to overcome a challenge but you don't really understand what is even causing that type of emotion, how are you going to overcome it, right? So the first thing is like understand what that emotion is, where that's coming from. Maybe it's coming from an insecurity that you have, maybe it's
Yes.
coming from past things that have happened and now this is the last one that just makes you so upset. So kind of understanding, you know, it might not be the first thing that it seems, or sometimes we want to blame someone else or something else, but we really need to take that moment to dig deep, to find out what is really, really causing that
What
struggle
is
that
the
we're going
underline, right? So I
through.
wanted to share some things, just a bit of a joke, but very interesting. When we talk about root cause, right? Root cause analysis is all of she's bringing all her business in mathematical and statistical head to this conversation. But the root cause in many types of organizations, we call the five whys, right? Just ask why, so you can go
Yes.
deeper. So I have a situation here. So there is this woman, and she just desperate because she wants to lose weight. Simple, right? We all go through this. I
Hmm.
go through this
Yeah.
right now. So she's just going through almost a mental breakdown because she wants to lose weight. And then her mother comes to her and she says, "But honey, why?" Right? First, why? "Oh, I want to lose weight because I want to be able to fit in the jeans."
Mm.
Right? Why? Second, why? "Oh, because I want to look pretty." Why? Because that's the genes, and that's how I felt so many years ago when I met my boyfriend ex, right?
Mm.
That is it. Why? Because he made me feel loved. So this out of control crying over not losing weight is really we ourselves asking, I just want to be loved. And this is something that is important for us to think about it in its simplicity, because if we were to analyze in that language of emotions that for many of us we don't even have the
Yeah.
vocabulary. It's a foreign language that we need to start to learn, but it's important in that realm to really be gentle and at the same time be courageous to face the whys
Yeah.
of our feelings, right, Bia?
Yeah, that's a great example because what you think is the issue, and so okay, you're working towards that weight loss, that person's working towards the weight loss. Even
Uh-huh.
if they lose the weight, that's not going to solve what's that feeling deep down, because that feeling, like you're saying, is not actually about the weight loss. It's about something totally different. So that's why it's important to get down to that root cause so we can and I love those whys, so that we can overcome, because how are we going to overcome a challenge we don't know? And it's hard, as we were saying before. Challenges are not easy to overcome, but they're a part of life. So the more we can understand them, try and identify the emotions we're having, the easier, not easy, but the easier it'll be to,
Not so hard, right? Not so
yeah,
hard.
not so hard to overcome.
Uh-huh. And then when we start to look at this as an example of the struggle because you want to be loved, it speaks of perhaps an emptiness, right? Emptiness that we carry. And when we talk about mental health and well-being in the context of psychology and spirituality, it's all about uh, finding yourself, finding the why, the bigger why in terms of meaning in life, finding that understanding that as immortal spirits we have a long journey, but we are all destined to achieve that infinite happiness that Joanna de Angelis brings to us. I love that term. We're destined to infinite happiness, all of us. And again, when we talk about that infinite love, infinite happiness as well, maybe we don't understand, right, in how we are today in a very perhaps immature psychologically speaking, or immature spiritually speaking as well. We are very much still focusing on how the material lens defines everything about us, and we need to move away from the material lens and things start to become easier. So I was wondering, can we talk a little bit about prayer,
Yeah.
be as an outlet for us to help us overcome our moments of challenge and struggles and other types of difficulties?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, one thing for me that helps with the faith is knowing that we have that we're destined to this infinite happiness, right? And it's not going to come very soon, but all these
Mhm.
challenges that seem impossible, they are possible, and we're going to overcome them. And sometimes we need help. Sometimes we'll make a mistake and we'll do the same struggle again, and then we and
Mhm.
again, but we will get there. And that is kind of a good motivation, a kind of a mindset to keep that faith on, so that it
Mhm.
drives us forward through our challenges. And yeah, and I think prayer, when we connect with that idea, right? First off, prayer is also asking for help, because a lot of times when we're in these tough moments, what we need is we need someone else. And maybe it's a moment that we don't feel like we have anyone else around us, but we
Mhm.
always do with that prayer. When we do that connection again, whatever it is that you feel like you're connecting with, there, it gives you that peace. It gives you feel like you're being heard. And so
Mhm.
that is so powerful, because it's that first step of asking for help, of realizing I'm going through this challenge and I need help because it's tough to go through by myself. um, and and taking that moment, I think it's, for me, it's also very meditative. It's a good
Okay.
moment where I find when I'm praying, it's that moment that I breathe, that I
Uh-huh.
calm down, that I can start understanding my emotions better because I took that second to calm down. So for me, it's very meditative to pray and to have that connection.
So perhaps a bit of actual, physically speaking, the breathing, but
Yeah.
also a moment of introspection where it's you and your God. I would like to perhaps say that for many of us, prayer is recited, right? A learned prayer. Do we need to learn our prayers? Bia, maybe we can talk a little bit about it. What can we say? What is the best prayer, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. The best prayer is the one that comes from the heart. So it can be a recited prayer, and sometimes we need help, especially if we're just getting into praying for the first time. Maybe you want to get a prayer that um, is very known and it's kind of written out. But even if you're doing a prayer that you kind of memorized it, think about what the words are, right? Feel them, feel the meaning of those words. So it's really about um, what emphasis, what importance you put into it and you give. So if
Mhm.
you're really feeling those words and meaning those words, then that prayer, even if someone else wrote it, that'll be okay. But
Yeah,
also, don't worry about, fancy words or elaborate prayers. Just have that conversation as if you're talking to yourself. It doesn't need to be anything fancy or special, but just be open and honest. And it's really the intention that's coming from inside of you more than the words that are coming
yeah.
out.
I have to say, I have to share a moment here. Oh, I believe it was last year. I got to go to Switzerland, and we were in this beautiful city um, for a conference, right? And they brought as one of the guest speakers a actually an actress, very famous actress, and she sat there in front of this large audience, and she recited, Bia, she recited a very quite long prayer to the audience. But as she recited, and we all knew she's an actress, so all of it could be acted, but not only, her, her whole body reacted to the words that she was reciting. She had tears in her eyes, and slowly, in this momentum that she built up on with the words, I could feel that the entire auditorium was enveloped with such a sense of unity. And it's almost like we're all holding our hands together
Mm-hmm.
and feeling that the prayer that she was reciting was really uh, coming from us to God, to the divine, to the source, and we're all there receiving whatever we needed at the time. So it was a very
Yeah.
beautiful experience, by the way. I did not expect, I did not go. I was there just ready for intellectual exercise of learning
uh-huh.
something, and that just blew me away on the moment. But a prayer can be a song as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds, I can feel kind of that power of that prayer. And
Hmm.
it's really about your intent, like, yeah, what is coming from your heart. And I know a lot of people too, when they pray, sometimes their minds start to wander off to different topics. That's
Yes,
okay. Just try and bring yourself back, right? It happens when you're doing meditation too. You start
absolutely.
trying to connect and then your mind starts going off on all these other things. That's okay. Just bring your thoughts back, try and
Yes,
regroup to your prayer.
yes,
And it's really the intention that counts, and no one's judging, right? The
yes.
words that are being used or what's being said.
So just to wrap it up, prayer, like meditation, is this conversation if you want to recite, do it, but you don't need to. It's the best prayer is that comes from your heart and links, right? In it is a religious experience, not re- uh, uh, an experience that is part of religion, but it's an experience that reconnects, as the word in Latin is, right? Religion is stems from the word to reconnect with God. So I think that sense of reconnecting, and like this actress that brought us all strangers in a city, in a different country, all feeling the warm embrace of this amazing sense of belonging, of connecting, of holding hands, of being part of being taken care of. And that's the power that one person, you don't have to be in the middle of an auditorium or even a large group of people, just yourself. Let us use that as an amazing mechanism to enlighten us and to help us deal with what life throws at us. One of the things
Absolutely.
that I wanted to bring here as well is because you talked about it right early on, was about resilience and strength. And what is the if we want to define resilience, because most of us may not use that word very frequently, the best way to define that is to think of a rubber band, and resilience is the capacity, the ability to be stretched, that stress, right? With the
Yeah.
struggles is the stretch as the rubber band. But once the stress is gone, the rubber band goes back to the original state. So it's the ability to grow, to stretch, to do things that are not comfortable, that hurts sometimes, that makes us feel afraid, alone, etc. But then knowing that we can come back because we are resilient, and inside of that resilience, we are strong. But the strength
Absolutely.
is within us, right, Bia? The
Yeah.
strength is within.
And as you mentioned, reflecting on how many challenges have we already overcome, right? That we
Yes,
know that in that moment it felt so tough, but we
yes,
overcame that. Like we are
yes,
resilient. You don't have to
yes,
wonder if you are. We are because you've
yes,
already gone through challenges and you've already overcome them. So you can do it again. It's not to say that it won't hurt and it might not, it will be challenging, but you can overcome it and have that resilience.
yes. So we are at getting to the end of our time together. Bia, I'd love if you could maybe share some insights that will help all of us be better prepared when we face moments that is just difficult to be well, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it's just so important to remember that no matter what, right? We go through the lows, the highs and the lows, the highs and the lows to get to the beautiful view at the mountain. We have to go through the rough part, the bottom, the hike. I love hiking. I love to see that view at the top of the mountain. But when you're going up the hill, it's hard. It's really hard. You start sweating, you stop, you take a break. You feel like you want to go back and quit, but eventually you make it to the top, and the view is so beautiful and breathtaking, and that's why it's all worth it. So remember that, right? All these challenges we're going through, they're leading, like we said, to that infinite happiness, to that top of the mountain, and all of our efforts are worth it. But we will have those challenges. So taking that time to meditate, to be around people that right are in our front row, doing something that we like in a creative outlet, and praying. No matter where you are, you can be driving. You don't have to close your eyes or be in any form to pray. Right? If you're driving and you feel like, oh, I'm so stressed right now, do a prayer, have that connection wherever you are. If you're in work, you don't have to say it out loud, right? Say it in your mind as well. So you can really use that tool anywhere you are, which is so powerful.
That's awesome. Thank you. I want to invite everyone to be part of a chain that exists actually globally, which is a prayer of individuals spending 10, 20, 30 seconds at 10 p.m., 10 p.m. every day, and just pray for peace, pray for goodness, pray for balance. And this is a movement that many people are part of. And it doesn't matter what time zone you are because it's 10 p.m. So if you are in Nashville like I am, my 10 p.m. is not Bea's 10 p.m., which she is in the East Coast, and so on and so forth. But because of that connection to all of those people that are doing that, we are holding hands even though we are not aware. So if you feel like it, put an alarm for 10 p.m. and start your 10 to 20 seconds prayer and be part of this movement for achieving, maintaining, and feeling peace and balance, a sense of equilibrium, but most important, courage, strength, and resilience. But I want to say thank you, Bia, for being with us today. Thank you, all of you who are here. And until next time, we'll talk again. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.